So, guys, Stoomboy, the combat companion. So we're going to be talking about ADCC Scotland. Before we do, just a big heads up. Obviously, the show's always brought to you by Hard Life Fightwear. Hard Life Fightwear offering a range of products, whether it be gi, no gi, MMA, whatever you got, Hard Life Fightwear do have you covered. They do some fantastic custom gear as well. So anybody looking for some nice fight apparel, then definitely help hardlifefightwear.co.uk. Use the discount code STOOM15 and you will get a little bit of a discount from them. So we're just waiting on Mop coming in. So we're going to be talking to Mr. ADCC Scotland, Craig Spidermop McIntosh of Submission Factory. So obviously Craig's been doing ADCC, I think it's a couple of years now, and obviously put on some fantastic events. So we've obviously had the Invitationals, we do the competition tournament styles as well. But the Invitationals are the exciting part. Okay, so it's going to be at the Golden Lion Hotel in Stirling. So obviously the home at ADCC Scotland. Going to be Sunday the 26th of January. So definitely head over to the Instagram page, Facebook pages at ADCC Scotland. Tickets are up for sale, guys. So obviously head over. You'll get the details, the link through the Facebook and the Instagram pages. And you will be able to get tickets directly through there. So it's going to be another awesome night. I mean, there's already some matches. Obviously, me and Mop, we're going to talk about the matches tonight, just in regards to, obviously, some of the matches that he's got on. There's obviously a good few matches still to be announced, and the fight card and stuff like that will come out as well. So it's going to be a great night. I mean, the invitationals are absolutely brilliant. I mean, we've seen some highlight matches on that, and again, this one's going to be no different. I mean, we've got a lot of MMA fighters that are going to be on this time. So obviously, people like say Mark Ewens, we've got Dylan Took, Lorenzo Parente match was announced earlier today. Stephen Clancy, Jakub Kurt. So awesome stuff. So let me just bring in the man himself.
Oh shit, how's it going, man?
Mr. McIntosh, Craig McIntosh, Spidermop. So we started the show. What we're doing is doing a quick intro, obviously letting everybody know what's happening. So Golden Lion Hotel, Stirling, Sunday the 26th of January. So going to be another great night. We were just talking about some of the matches, not some of the matches, sorry, some of the fighters, and it's a very heavy MMA style that's going to be on show next Sunday. I mean, there's a lot of people that you're not going to see them anywhere else, Mop, other than ADCC Scotland.
I'm pretty excited for it myself, to be honest. Like, there's some amazing matches. It's been really easy to put the card together. So everybody's just up for it. So it's going to be pretty cool to see everybody competing. And again, there's a load of different clashes of styles and stuff as well. So it should be really interesting. I think the energy is going to be really good as well, because we've had to half the tickets. We've not got as many tickets on sale this time because I was in measuring it the day. Actually, we've got some 10x10 mats, so that's going to be a bit better. More space for the athletes to compete on as well. So less restarts and stuff. It kind of lets the action flow a wee bit more. So I'm looking forward to that. But it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we've got one of the guys that's going to be on the night, Max Saliki.
How's it going, big guy?
Again, me and Max were talking earlier on today, and that's a 1/4 match that's going to be on display. Him and Big Gio, and these two guys. I mean, they're fucking massive. They're massive guys, but they're brilliant grapplers. I mean, really, really good grapplers. Again, for the size of them, I mean, I think what's Big Gio's kicking around about 110, maybe. I think he's about 110 kilos.
I think that building's nearly 300 years old or something like that. They need to be careful they're not going through the floor. Do you know what I mean? They're going to be... I hope there's no big power bombs or slams out of submissions.
Yeah. Mate, that'll bring a whole new meaning to bringing the roof down, man. Do you know what I mean? So... but two awesome grapplers.
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. But two awesome grapplers. Obviously, we've seen Gio on the scene for a while. Max obviously has been on the scene as well. So, so two really, really decent grapplers.
Gio's not competed a bit for a while in grappling, and obviously Max has been more active lately. But I know he's been training hard in that still, so it's going to be pretty cool to see.
Yeah. So 1/4 ton match.
I was looking at, there was a load of comments online where I noticed when when the match got announced, but both guys are being pretty respectful of each other, which is good to see. So
Yeah.
it'll be cool to see who's the better grappler on the night.
Aye, aye. I say two great guys. Because we were talking away, and I said that's a quarter of a ton of absolute sexiness, man. That's going to be on display. Him and Big Geo. So, but yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you on next Sunday, Max, and obviously Big Geo as well. So, um, tell us about the event then. So again, Sunday, 26th of January. I mean, anybody that's
Aye.
ever been at the ADCC Scotland Invitationals before will be able to tell you. I mean, they're absolutely amazing. I mean, we've seen over the time, we've seen a lot of highlight matches, a lot of very very big highlights, and it's always great to see. It's always great to see. So it's going to be another great night again. And this one, I mean, when I looked at obviously some of the matches that you've got on so far, this one looks like it's the best one yet.
I actually think so as well. When I was looking at the card, it's very very strong right for the start. All the matches are really exciting as well. Um, do you know something? It's one of the ones where uh, maybe it would have been the right one for the pay-per-view. It
Mm,
might have been the right one for the pay-per-view. We've always just took the model of live grappling. Do you know what I mean? So buy a ticket, come see it. That's what makes the energy. That's what makes the atmosphere. But there's so many high-level guys competing that there's going to be a lot of people wanting to see it. But look, we record it all. We get it out fast and we put it up on YouTube for free for everybody to see. So it's
yeah,
uh, it's going to be the same process here. But aye, that's something that we're thinking about in future. Where if we move to a bigger venue, we're testing out the mats for it, so that's going to look good, and then we can start to grow from there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the bigger venue. I mean, I know me and you've spoke about it before, and do you know what I mean? Like where it is, the Golden Lion. Do you know what I mean? And again, it's a very. Do you know what I mean? It's a very like everybody's on top of the action. Do you know what I mean? And it feels right. Do you know what I mean? For what's happening, I know that obviously you're getting bigger and bigger as time goes on, but having it in that venue, it just feels right. Do you know what I mean? It
A
feels
100%, and it's the day after Robbie Burns night, so you know what I mean. If it's somebody that's maybe visiting for outside of Scotland or visiting from Scotland, then if you come up the night before, then there'll probably be loads of Burns dinners and stuff like that on. If you book yourself in advance, you'll be able to attend something like that and get a bit of Scottish culture as well. So
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
that was the kind of idea behind the date as well.
Yeah, you always see people as well when they're staying at the hotel and they pop their head in and they're like, "Oh, what's happening in there?" And you're like, "Yeah, everybody's fighting in there." So,
Aye,
and they do like to pop in and have a wee look and see what's happening. So, and some of them have bought tickets as well. I mean, some people that are actually
aye.
staying there have just bought a ticket just to come in and see what's happening.
And I don't think they know what to expect a lot of the time, to be honest. Like, and you're coming in to see that, and it's not really anything like what they normally put on in there.
Yeah,
Most of the time it's like music venues, that kind of stuff. But it fits well, and the atmosphere's really good. The energy's good, and I think for people visiting Scotland, it's quite cool to see as well. It's quite a
yeah,
historic building.
yeah. One thing I wanted to bring up, I mean, obviously we had John Lamb. John Lamb was always doing the MC, but it's mixed up this time. Obviously, you've got the the fucking voice of a generation,
The voice
Ricky
of the
Wright.
generation's back,
Yeah,
man. That's it.
yeah, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Ricky loves it. I mean, I give Ricky loads of things. I talk about the voice of a generation, the eighth wonder of the world, and do you know what I mean? I always big him up. And then obviously he's loaded. I don't know if you've seen the post that you went up earlier on. I think he's
Absolutely.
worth 350 grand or somebody made last year, apparently. Which he
Nice.
said, yeah, he didn't. He said he didn't because they'd done a list of the
Oh,
top
that
10
happened to me as well.
MCs. Aye, the
Mhm.
top 10 MCs, and I think he was like number seven. And they said he'd earned £350,000. And Michael
Where
Buffer
did
and
they
Bruce
pull the
Buffer were
figures
at
for?
the top.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. They had
So
Michael Buffer and Bruce Buffer, and they said they only made £1 million last year. And I'm like, nah, they made a lot more than that. So
BGJ Fanatics wrote a mad thing with me, and it was saying that I'd made $500,000 or something like that. And I was like, that's not true. But it's crazy. Do you know
it's
what I
like,
mean?
where is it? Where is it, man? Where's this money?
Most of the time I was fighting for free.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so Ricky, just in case the HMRC's watching, Ricky's not made 350 grand, all right.
It's
So I
not
just want to
true.
I want to put it out there. So
In cold hard
obviously,
cash.
yeah, Miles Painter as well. You know Miles. Miles has done profiles on you before. Just saying the steam engine Yoda. I call him the MMA Yoda because he fucking knows everything. Do you know what I mean? So he's just saying, obviously, me, him, and you, the three musketeers.
Nice,
So,
nice. I can be a bit like that with MMA sometimes. See, just like remembering stuff, the
yeah.
fights that happened 15 years ago and that. It's just, I don't know, it's quite weird.
Miles
Photographic memory with that sort of stuff.
Miles keeps me right. Miles keeps me right. So whenever he comes on or I'm doing an MMA thing, and Miles will tell you dates and stuff like that. He'll be like, "Oh, they were on such and such at this time." He did it with Brian Hislop. I think he was talking.
Oh,
We were talking to Brian Hislop, and I think one fight that Brian had, I think it was like 10 years ago, and Miles knew the date, knew the event, and everything. Do you know what I mean? Within seconds, and it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. So Miles keeps me right. And Miles is going to love ADCC Scotland because obviously a lot of people he's done profiles on are all going to
nice.
be on ADCC Scotland as well. So
Get on the
um,
YouTube, give it a follow, help it grow. You know, I think we're
yeah,
at 500 odd subscribers. We want to get that up. So we're putting out good content constantly. Get
yeah,
yourself on.
yeah. We're going to get obviously I'll be there as well, so we'll be doing the post-fight interviews and stuff like that as well, which we get on the ADCC Scotland page as well. Do you know what I mean? So we filter that directly through there. So hear what some of these guys say, because like they go out, they do their thing, and see when they come back and speak to me, it's just a fucking riot, man. Do you know what I mean? Like they're all full of energy, and there's been so many funny things have happened backstage when they talk to me that. And again, we get it in the videos. We put it out there, and people love it. I mean, the big one was Big Papa,
Oh,
with the
aye.
medal, and he. Do you
He's
know what I mean? He
taking
just
character.
Aye, and so things like that. But we always have like some crazy laugh. Caroline Plumley was absolutely mad when she was there. Caitlin, what's her name, Hatfield, she was nuts as well. Do you know what I mean? But we just have an absolute laugh, and we get it
You're
on
starting to see a
ADCC
common
Scotland.
theme, aren't you?
Yeah,
With,
so,
with people that do grappling, there's a common theme there.
but
They're
we
all
get it on the
fucking nuts.
ADCC page. It goes up on the ADCC page the very next day. So you get to see some of that craziness that goes on backstage. So, but yeah, Ricky Wright must be great, man. He's
He's a
absolutely
great
brilliant.
guy. We spent a lot of time each year at the ADXCA. He's a fucking gem of a guy, you know.
Yeah.
We were getting a good laugh at breakfast, dinner, and all that. Brilliant. So it'd be good to see him.
Yeah. He's been messaging me as well. So I think it's been a while since I saw him last. So yeah, definitely looking forward to catching up with him. Miles just saying he's the encyclopedia of martial arts. He definitely is. Miles definitely is. Miles, some of the matches we're going to talk about. I mean, as you'll know, the majority of these fighters, a lot of MMA fighters. We talked about Mark Ewan, Dylan Took, Stephen Clancy, Aiden Stephen. Who else we got? Lorenzo, obviously mentioned. Lorenzo's got some of the best grappling in martial arts. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
So absolutely unbelievable grappling. So we're going to see that, and then there's obviously a lot more as well. There's a lot more. So um, let's talk about the obviously the Lorenzo fight first of all. So let me just bring this up. Where are we? So we're just going to bring it up. So Lorenzo fight then. So you don't know if you can see that, Craig.
Aye, I can do.
Aye. So there's a few
That's
matches coming up there. So
I got
um,
announced today.
aye,
I'm buzzing for it. Like I say, just happy when these guys are putting their name in to compete because they've got so much skill. Do you know what I mean? And they're just going out and trying to test themselves with different styles. And ultimately, that is how you get better. Do you know what I mean? You're learning how to defend. You're learning how to attack against different types of styles. So that's obviously going to be a bit of clash of styles. But the thing is, Lorenzo's got a really good guard as well, eh? And obviously, seen him
yeah,
in his PFL fight. He was able to pull and finish. You know, and you start to see that way. You know, both these guys have got a really tricky guard. You know, so it's going to be an interesting match.
yeah. Dylan as well. I mean, obviously Dylan's got. And again, I talk about this with Gracie Baha. I mean, Gracie Baha having that fundamental, so that fundamental basic jujitsu, where it's obviously a great program with what they're doing and putting things together. So fundamentally, Dylan's awesome. Do you know what I mean? Like you see some of the things he does, and just using like basic stuff. I mean, nothing too fancy, and then obviously getting results off the back of it. Do you know what I mean?
I think it
So
was their first ever in-house comp that we done. He competed at, and he looked brilliant at it. Like he had a really good, he had a really good aggressive pace. You know what I mean? And that is what you're looking for in ADCC. That's something I had to kind of adapt my style of grappling. It actually taught me a lot about grappling by deeply understanding the ADCC rule set, because it's constantly about pushing the pace. You know, if you're passive or you're taking backward steps, um, that starts to go against you, and you can get a warning, point off, etc. On your third warning. So
yeah,
it forces the action, and you start to see people. You see some crazy scrambles as a result of it. You know what I mean? And I think that the turtle, the sort of non-scoring cancelled out by the turtle, that makes a big difference as well. You're seeing people turtle up, and the scramble keeps going there. So sometimes you're seeing like 7-8 switch exchange. For me, it's really enjoyable. I love it.
yeah. I'm looking forward to it as well. I mean, obviously, we know. I mean, Lorenzo as well. Obviously, coming at a higher level, so we know how good these guys' cardio is as well. So Lorenzo's going to be one of these guys that will be able to push the pace for the full match. Do you know what I
Aye, and
mean?
obviously there's a group of them that's on the card. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah,
a big bunch on the card, so they're all going to be training hard for it together. You know what I mean?
yeah,
They're all going to be ready for it. You know what I mean? They're focusing on it together. So
yeah,
you tend to see that with the gyms when a bunch of people are all training towards a similar goal. You get the
yeah,
results.
yeah. Lorenzo as well. I mean, obviously, since moving to a higher level, I mean, I've talked about this a lot. Since moving to a higher level, it's just been like he's a different person. Do you know what I mean? Lorenzo was always brilliant, and then once he moved to a higher level, I think he's lost once in I can't even remember how many fights it is, but he's only lost once since I think it's since moving to a higher level.
Aye, when he
Big
competed on
competition.
when he won the IMAFs, that was
Yeah,
pretty amazing performance. Like, he
yeah,
just looked supremely confident, you know what I mean? And he's pretty much just looked at since then,
yeah,
and mega aggressive, and um, his jiu-jitsu is always on point, his grappling's on point. So, you know, the sky's the limit. That last fight that he took on PFL, I thought like a lot of people wouldn't have wanted to take that fight on short notice as a replacement, and he done it, and he made it look easy.
yeah,
So that,
yeah.
like, that's massively impressive.
Yeah, so it's going to be buzzing to see him step out there and pure grappling match as well. So, and as I said, he'll be aggressive. Do you know what I mean? He'll push the pace. But Dylan will be expecting. I mean, Dylan trains with guys that are very, very similar to Lorenzo. So, do you know what I mean? Big guys, let's say your Ryan Kelly's, who's always attacking and so on. So obviously, I'm sure that Dylan will be 100% ready for it, so it's going to be a great match. I mean, I saw that today, and I was like, wow. Do you know what I mean? That looks like an absolutely brilliant match. Ronan Foley as well. Obviously, Ronan Foley up against Asher. I hope I say this right.
Mhm.
Mirsadegi.
That's
Uh,
exactly how I was pronouncing it in my head when I was typing it out. But
so,
I've heard
oh,
really good things about the Asher. He's
yeah.
supposed to be a really high level black belt for a few people.
Hmm.
He's obviously just got his black belt, but people are saying he's at a really good level and quite entertaining. And obviously Ronan is one of the guys that's constantly saying, I'm wanting the best guys out there.
Yeah,
So he's going to go out there and get to test himself, against a good black belt. And I feel like when you're sitting at brown belt, I definitely felt like this anyway. Like, you want the black belts, you want the black belts to show you that you're there. You want them to feel if it's and even if there is a different level, you want to feel that, and you want to see where you can grow. So, you
yeah.
know, I definitely feel like when you're at brown belt, you're looking to take on those tough matches to try and grow, to get to that next step.
Yeah, Ronan as well, some very good judo as well. So really good judoka. So we're going to see obviously definitely hopefully a lot of great stuff coming from that match. Do you know what I mean? So and obviously we see Ronan on the scene in Scotland a lot. Do you know what I mean? And always goes out there and puts on some really really good performances as well. So
Thing about these
um,
lighter weight classes as well, they're just fucking so fast. The scrambles are crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll sometimes, I'm saying, talking about like an 8 exchange scramble. Sometimes with the smaller guys, the full match is a scramble. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
yeah. So obviously it's going to be a great match. This one as well. Looking forward to this. Gav McQueen up against the Viking that's Ross Lavery. So I saw Ross at Grapple Wars recently, and he was getting beat. I remember talking to him after it. He was getting beat, man, and he ended up winning it, submitting the guy. And but he looked okay. Do you know what I mean? He didn't look out of place, even though he was losing the match. It wasn't, and again, when
Was
I
that
say
not for
losing
the
the match,
title, actually? Was that? Am I right in saying
that
that?
was, I think it was a title eliminator.
Yeah.
So if I'm sure he's to come back and he's going to be fighting for the title at either the next Grapple Wars or the one after that. So, but I mean, he was losing. So if it was points, he'd have been well down on points. But it wasn't about points. So
I watched the full match actually. He spoke to me about it, and I got a wee look at it.
yeah,
But it was a good match, you know. He showed a lot of perseverance and defense to overcome, and then eventually start to get his own attacks and
yeah.
succeeded.
Yeah, as soon as he then started attacking, I mean, it was just that was it. It was over. Do you know what I mean? So, and as I said, I remember talking to him after it, and I said the same thing to him. I was just like, you know what? It's not about what happens during the match; it's about how it finishes. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean? And you came away with the victory, and he was so over the moon. I remember being at the side of the mat because obviously the Scottish people. Anytime a Scottish person was on, I was at the side of the mat. Do you know what I mean? Obviously for support. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
and I remember him coming over, and the first thing he done when he come over, it was come straight over to me. Do you know what I mean? He was like, "Oh, thanks very much." So, but
Aye.
definitely put on a good performance. And Gav McQueen, I mean, Gav McQueen has always been one of them guys that he's always out there when he goes out and competes, and he does very, very well. And obviously had I think he had a great competition there at Empire just last weekend. I think he beat Shea Smith very, very
Yeah.
quickly. And
I've
Shea's one of the guys as well, MMA fighter, who is fighting Oscar Svells this weekend for the
seen
over
that.
100 kilo title. Um, so yeah, Gav's one of the guys that has always done well when he goes to
For
competition.
me, I think Gav's pretty much establishing himself as one of the top guys in the UK at least.
Yeah,
Uh, at grappling. It's not about belts anymore really. It's just about a weight class in grappling.
yeah,
And he's at the higher weight classes, you're going to struggle to find guys that are going to give him too much trouble. He's looking on fire. The new his game's really well rounded.
yeah,
And the thing is, Ross as well, he's at a stage where he's looking to take on the best guys possible. He knows himself, he's not getting any younger, and he's wanting to compete with the top guys. So he's going to grow through the experience and be able to go out there and train his hardest to get to up against an up and comer as well. So
yeah.
it should make a great match. And what obviously we've said that the winner of this will be going for the under 99 title next. So we're going to find them whoever wins this bout, we're going to find them an opponent for that belt in the next Invitational.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of good people out there as well that you can put them up against. So, and that's the thing. The winner of this, I mean, it kind of opens a lot of stuff up for them. Do you know what I mean? So, or I mean, does it open a lot of stuff up for them because there's a lot of opponents out there? But I mean, Gav McQueen's one of the guys where a lot of people don't want to go up against him. Do you know what I mean? So, and
Yeah.
Ross is exactly the same. Do you know what I mean? People look at Ross and say, "Oh, he's an older guy; he'll be easy." But then once they see him, it's a whole different story. Do you know what I mean? He still moves about like a guy half his age.
Aye, 100%. Aye, his first opponent didn't last too long.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll be a very, very exciting match. And as I said, hopefully winner that goes on and fights for the title next. So Mitch Oley, obviously, we've seen both of these guys before, Mitch Oley and Argyle Graham. So again, two young guys. Mitch is the same. I mean, Mitch is everywhere. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So he's competing in everything. It seems like he's out there every weekend or every other weekend, and he loves ADCC Scotland. He loves coming up and he loves going against whoever it is you put him in front of.
He's got a really good high-paced style, eh? Got a really good high-paced style, and obviously he's going against, and he loves a leg lock. He doesn't. It's no secret for him, but he's going up against Arch, who's the same. He loves a leg lock, and he's recently trained, or it's quite a while ago. He actually changed over to higher level, but we represent higher level in this match, which should be cool to see. Um, it'll be interesting to see how his game's evolved since previous times it's been on the show. And obviously he's up against somebody that's going to be trying to do the same thing to him potentially. So it should make for some really interesting exchanges. And I think it's a tough one, it's a tough one because it'll probably come down to, maybe if there's a level difference in the leg locks, because you sometimes see with leg lockers when they're similar level, it nullifies it, and then it ends up being who's got the better top game, who's got the better positional game.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting to see.
Yeah, Argyle's one of the guys as well. I mean, since making the move to a higher level, do you know what I mean, his game's just changed again. I mean, as I said, obviously what James and the coaches and all that are doing at a higher level. I mean, they're I don't know what they put in the water in Bathgate, man, but it's something very different because anybody who goes out, I mean, you were training at a higher level, and
That been
so
producing champions for a good few years now, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Going back
yeah.
well over
Um,
10 years.
Yeah, so obviously Argyle again since making the move over there. As I said again, games kind of stepped up, but you need to step up your game. I mean, going into a higher level. I mean, I tell people that all the time. Do you know what I mean? If you want to train, do you know what I mean? Especially
Aye,
MMA
I
and
think
stuff like that, MMA
I think
style
it
grappling.
definitely has that reputation, and rightfully so, because it's like if you're taking it serious, you're going there. You know what I mean? There's nobody that's going to go in there and like fuck about, and
Yeah,
it's going to be tolerated. You know what I mean? It's that you've got to go and train hard. Otherwise, you don't fit in with the culture because everybody's in there working hard. You know.
yeah. So that'll be an exciting match. Obviously, again, both of these guys love seeing both of these guys out there. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing that one. Bobby McVitie, Scotty McGill,
That
Matthew
one's cool.
McLeod, Rajesh Duin. So
It's
yeah, there's
just
a
going to
few on
keep
there.
flicking, but the Bobby
Yeah,
McVitie one, I'm excited myself for that one. That's going to be pretty cool. When I first started this sport, Bobby and some of the other guys for Greenacre would come through, Port Glasgow would come through, and they would train at Josh's club. When we
yeah,
were training judo, because Bobby's obviously a judoka as well, and
yeah,
at the time he was fighting, pro MMA. And a lot of people don't know, how many pro fights Bobby McVitie actually had, but he had a crazy amount of pro fights, fighting all the best guys in Europe, basically, at the drop of a hat. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And he's not been in the competition scene as much, in recent years, but he still stays at it, and he's been training away. So
yeah,
crazy fit guy as well, so
yeah,
it'll be good. And obviously Scotty's put on some amazing performances so far on the show. He always gives 100%. He's a very well-rounded grappler as well, so you're potentially going to see some fucking, Russell Tussle in there, a bit of wrestling, a bit of everything, so it's going
yeah,
to be. And both guys are strong at the weight, but they're fit and fast as well, so you're
yeah.
going to see some really good exchanges. I think it's going to be a cool match.
Yeah, so definitely looking forward to that. Matthew McLeod and I hope I say this right, Regis Dewan.
Yeah.
Obviously Matthew, we've seen Matthew on the scene in MMA, doing a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, obviously he's doing very, very well at MMA at the moment. So obviously he's built up a good few wins.
I
I call him
actually seen him post something the other day about fucking no liking leg lockers, and I was like, oh man, because it's one of the ones where I suppose you got to try and nullify that style. That just becomes part and parcel of grappling now. You need to
yeah,
shut that shit down and get your own stuff going. But it's hard, It's
yeah.
because I quite like to see the stand up exchanges as well. But
Hmm.
it's also something pretty cool about a person being able to just wrap somebody up real quick for the bottom. So
Yeah.
that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Patrick Rowan, Samir Al Nadaf. So again, Patrick's been on competitions. He's part of that crew. I mean, obviously there's him, there's Shea Montague, Blair Hamilton, and obviously Big Papa and all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So he's part of that crew where they go traveling everywhere. I mean, they go around the world traveling, doing IBJJF comps and things like that. So Patrick's always one of the guys that you see out there doing it.
It's been
Um,
like that for a while. I think he's
yeah,
always been pushing himself to the bigger competitions and stuff. So
yeah.
it's going to be a pretty cool one. From what I understand, he's trained with this guy before. They've done a good bunch of rounds together. But at that weight class, like I say, there's not a huge amount of people that are actually willing to face top level guys. So it's good when you get two people that are up for it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Patrick, he wasn't even caring about weight or anything. He's just like, let's do it.
That's what I love about him. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? He doesn't care who it is. He'll go in there against anybody, and as you said, he go in there and test himself. He's not
I'm
one of
looking
these
forward to
guys.
seeing him compete, because I've
Yeah,
trained with him before, and I've watched him compete a bunch of times, and he's got a really good game, and it would be interesting to see how his game's evolved, what he's rolling like now, because again, everybody, all these guys, probably been on mats with him, over the years, and it's great to see people's games just evolving, and you're seeing
Yeah,
people, transforming. It's I'm like that the now. Obviously Xander's been training with us, so it's been
yeah,
cool seeing him, and he's getting better at such a fast rate. He's got a huge match obviously coming up with Jack Tiley, who's also an excellent grappler.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's going to be a real cool match for him.
Yeah, Lewis Penny as well. Obviously, Lewis Penny, Lorenzo Lucidi. Again, Lewis, same. You know what I mean? He's always out there. Lewis is always out there doing sub onlys as well. So he's got a
Both these guys are really a really exciting style, so it should be
yeah,
really fun.
yeah, yeah. I remember Lewis went over and spent time over in Texas, and obviously his game changed. I mean, Lewis was always one of the guys where he would pull guard, whereas I think the last time I seen him, he was on top. He was on
Right.
top and he was pushing the pace, which
Mhm.
was very, very different from what I'm used to seeing him doing.
Yeah, and it's good if he's got, if you've got both, you want both. You want to be able to, the two sides of the coin.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then one of our favourites, The Hobbit, Barry Monroe. We love Barry Monroe. Do you know what I mean? Barry Monroe had the highlight reel disqualification uh, at previous ADCC Scotland events. But obviously up against again another tough guy, Anton Bilkin, obviously from the Hit Squad. So again, two guys who are again out there competing all the time, doing their thing. And the thing is, these two coach as well, which I
Yeah.
mean, there's a difference when you coach because coaching, as you know, I mean, because you're breaking everything down, it then makes your game a bit better as well because then even though you understood the moves before, because you're actually teaching the moves, it kind of helps with your own kind of development as well.
Aye, almost. There'll be times where you're talking through something and you maybe do something automatically and you start explaining it and you say to yourself, "Oh, that's why I do that because it's the most efficient way." And you're trying to break that down to somebody, and then just when you're actually going through the motions with them or talking through, you learn yourself. And
Yeah.
I think it falls into like the competency models. You go for being sort of unconsciously competent to consciously competent.
Yeah, yeah. And then you've got Gary McMillan up against Ben Stokes. Again, both of these guys I know kind of very well as well. Gary McMillan was on the last sub series. Obviously put on an absolutely brilliant match, really, really good back and forth. Didn't get a victory that night, but
Aye, Gary's a warrior. He's always
amazing.
taking on tough challenges, and he pushes hard as he pushes hard as in every single fight you see him in. He's given 100%. He's getting right in about it. So he's always
Yeah.
exciting. Anytime he's been on the show, he's always pushed the pace.
Yeah, Ben's the same. Ben's exactly the same. Do you know what I mean? He'll always put yourself in there against whoever. Not really bothered too much about the opponent as long as there is somebody there. So,
Aye.
and Ben loves a leg lock as well. Ben absolutely loves a leg lock. And the thing is with Gary, I mean, I remember seeing Gary at that sub series getting put in leg locks, and do you know what? He didn't even flinch. Did
Who's
not
that?
flinch at all. Gary McMillan at
Aye.
that last sub series, I said he
Well,
got put in a couple of heavy leg locks, man, and he didn't flinch. He did not even bat an eyelid. Do you know what I mean? So,
he's
and
maybe
some
got
of them
one of
were on.
the bone structures. There's some guys that are definitely better at slipping, heel hooks than others.
Yeah, yeah.
Based on their bone structure.
So that'll be very exciting. Ross Smith again, another very, very exciting grappler coming out of Scotland. Harry Cockerell. Ross Smith's one of the guys. I remember the wars that him and Arujo used to put on, and because they always faced each other, whether it be sub onlys or whether it be
Blue
competitions and
belts
all
is
that.
about the same time, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah. So, and I think they faced each other. I think a couple of times at purple belt, or maybe once at purple belt. But him and Harry Cockerell is going to be an absolute unbelievable match.
Is that what that's? This one's that he's there's that's actually been updated. So I'm going to release the poster for that one, but I'll do that tomorrow.
Right, cool. So
Yeah, Harry's out of that one, but we've got a good replacement.
we'll see what the replacement is. Obviously, we'll find out tomorrow when that's released. We've got Harvey Anderson as well. So obviously Harvey Anderson coming in. Harvey's going to be up against. Let me see who that is. Um,
Rory.
Rory McCallion. Rory's one of the guys. I mean, you know Rory. Normally,
Yeah.
if Gareth Vaughan's coming over. Rudy will say, "Oh, aye, Gareth's coming over, and I'm coming with Gareth. So can you put me on as well? Just give me anybody." And
Yeah.
and that was always the thing you seen. Whether if it was Gareth that was coming over, or Lisa Houston that was coming over, Rudy always found himself on fighting anybody,
I see
whoever it was.
Rory's game as he come. He's up for any kind of matchup, and
Yeah,
he's put on some good performances.
yeah,
You're seeing his game evolving over time. So, and he has took tough matches as well, and he's going to get better for that constantly. You're going to
yeah.
see that go in his favour.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously up against a tough Harvey Anderson, so we'll definitely see how that one kind of plays out. We've got obviously the man Stephen Clancy and Jakub Kurt. I mean, these are two of the two young guys. I think what they 17, 18-year-old.
Yeah,
Both hungry, both like at the very beginning or almost at the very beginning of their MMA careers, doing absolutely brilliant. Both starting off through grappling. I remember Stephen, obviously, years ago doing like the kids' competitions. Jakub was exactly the same. So that's going to be very, very exciting for me to see.
I'm buzzing for that one. To be honest, it's going to be pretty cool. Both guys are mega talented, and game as they come. I think they fight the same weight class in MMA as well, so it'll be good for them to get a chance to grapple each other, learn for each other.
Yeah, so I think that could be one of the matchups of the night. Do you know what I mean? Because do you know what I mean? I've seen these two kids for years on the scene, and seeing them coming up and evolve from like young kids, like 12, 13-year old to where they are now. So I think that, in my eyes, that could be one of the fights of the night, because it's going to be, you know what it's going to be like. It's going to be a very high paced. It's going to be a quick match, not a quick
Yeah.
match. Sorry, it's going to be everything's moving fast, and do you know what I mean? It'll be hard to keep up with what's going on.
Like two
And
wild badgers in a bag.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's definitely going to be a very, very exciting match. I can't wait for that one. And then you've got a rematch. So obviously these two fought in MMA, Gemma Auld and Caroline Plumley. So I remember they fought in MMA. I think it was on Goliath,
Yeah.
Goliath show. I think it was one of Caroline's first couple of fights, if I remember rightly. So and obviously took on Caroline, got the victory over Caroline. So obviously they're going to be meeting up, obviously at ADCC Scotland next week. So again, another exciting matchup.
That's going to be cool to see.
Gemma,
You know what
obviously,
Caroline's like. Do you know what I mean? She's always coming aggressive. She's always going for the kill. And
yeah,
obviously, you've seen Gemma's grappling display as well in MMA
yeah,
and obviously competition. So it's going to be good to see.
yeah, yeah. I say both absolutely brilliant. Caroline again will fight anybody in anything. I say this all the time. It makes no difference. It could be
She
combat
always says, "Well,
jets.
let me fight the men."
she, she said that. What was the comp? I remember being at a comp and she said that she'd asked. Obviously, she said it to you and she said it to somebody else as well. Like just
She'll fight anybody.
yeah,
She's
yeah.
up for
If you've got a guy, put me in against a guy, and I mean, yeah, Caroline's brilliant. I mean, she'll take
classy.
anybody on any time. So, and then Gemma's again grappling for and grappling in MMA has been absolutely brilliant. So we've seen a lot of grappling from her in her MMA career so far, and as I said, it works absolutely brilliant. So again, and these two are going to be very, very aggressive against each other because
Yeah.
Caroline doesn't step back. She never steps back from anything, and neither does Gemma. So the two of them are just going to go at each other. And again, looks like again going to be another fantastic matchup.
Aye, like I say, the full card. There's pretty much, yeah, and obviously we've done the trials this time as well. So we've got some really. We're trying to make sure that we're putting the top blue belts on there. So we're going to do that every time before the invitational. We'll run our trials, and then that just means that the ones that we are putting on, we know what we're getting. We know how exciting it's going to be. Do you know what I mean? It's at a point where it's the only way that we can really do it now because you're getting such an influx. People wanting to compete on the show, which
Yeah,
is great. It just means that we know that quality level is always going to be really, really high.
yeah, yeah. And then next matchup, Mark Ewan up against Jake Smiley. I mean, this again when you announced that, and I saw Mark Ewan's name, I was like, wow. Do you know what I mean? So there's a few people where I was like, wow. But
That
obviously,
that one's fucking very cool, man.
yeah,
Honestly, really, really cool match. Um, because Mark's just fucking amazing at whatever he does. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So if he's putting a focus on this, this particular performance, you're going to see him shine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And obviously, Jake's one of the sort of most active competitors in the scene. Obviously, just got his purple belt, but he's been fighting black belts since for a long time. He's been competing in the hardest tournaments out there, and very regularly as well. Very,
yeah,
very active. So it should be really cool to see.
yeah. I can't wait for that one again. Another great matchup. Ross Houston. Ross Houston against Jimmy Wheeler. Again, we've seen Ross on before. Obviously, Ross put on an amazing match the last time he was on, and obviously we know exactly what Jimmy's coming with. So again, another awesome matchup that you've got put on for this one.
I see. To be honest, I'm totally honoured that these guys are all going to compete in the show because they are. I've got so many amazing athletes and fighters putting themselves forward to compete. And as a fan of the sport, which I am, I'm excited to sit back and watch it. I always say to people it is quite stressful, the organising and all that sort of stuff, but it's always worth it at the end when you actually see everybody competing and you see these great matches. You know what I mean? You're seeing, people their strongest qualities coming out. I think the rule set really does do that, though. I
Yeah.
think that the 10-minute matches in the rule set does that. You're seeing, people really showing off their best grappling.
Yeah, yeah. So that's going to be a great matchup. Obviously, two unbelievable grapplers as well. So Ian Postlethwaite, Chris Hayes.
That's a
Again,
cool
obviously,
one.
yeah. Ian obviously making the move over to higher level as well. So had an amazing year last year. Obviously went fully undefeated for the year. And
It's on
obviously
fire,
Chris
than
Hayes.
it.
Yeah, he's on fire. I think he's hoping as well to get on to that Cage Warriors card in April. So we'll
Nice.
obviously wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens with that. He's had a couple of, I think was it two performances at I think he's been on Cage Warriors twice. I think it's once or twice, and it was an
It's
amazing
definitely
match.
one when he was on. Aye.
Yeah.
Was
So
that I was there for one of his previous fights here, and it was fucking. He fought his fucking heart out to win it. Like he was fighting a
yeah,
boy from GB Top Team. His name was Shane, and it was a crazy fight. Like he was.
that was TKC. Yeah, that was
It
TKC.
was a really really good fight, because he had to
Yeah,
really fucking push through and fucking just managed to completely just outfight the boy. It was brilliant to watch.
because he took him down as soon as it went to the ground. It was over. So obviously on the stand up, he was getting his eye was kind of badly swollen as well. So, but as soon as
Aye.
he took it to the ground, it was over. And as they last year going completely undefeated last year. So, and had an amazing year. Had an amazing year. And Chris Hayes is one of the guys. Obviously black belt. And. He's
Yeah,
always
he's,
one of the
he's,
guys as
he's
well.
won some ADCCs before and stuff
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. He's a very dangerous, and he's also fought pro MMA as well.
Yeah,
So he's a very dangerous opponent. I think they've actually competed against each other once before, so they were
yeah,
both keen to get the match going again.
yeah. ADCC rules is obviously a very different from what they competed in the last time as well. So it's going to be
Yeah,
a different rule set. So
for sure.
um, and it's going to suit them as well. I mean, and again, we talked about the ADCC rule set where it suits a lot of people, and it's going to suit a lot of all these MMA fighters that are on the card because of the aggressive pace and always looking to attack and things like that. So I feel that certainly the guys who fight MMA are going to have a little bit of an advantage just because of the style that they train at. So, in my opinion,
Definitely.
anyway.
No, definitely. It's like wrestling is definitely important when it comes to ADCC. You need to be able to, especially after that first half, which is 5 minutes for these guys. So you've got five
Yeah.
full minutes to just attack, but after that, your position is everything. If you start, pulling guard, whatever, you're going to then be deducted.
Yeah, another very exciting matchup here. Chris Duncan, Dylan Took, obviously UFC, Chris Duncan, and PFL's Dylan Took. So Dylan's mad, man. I love Dylan. Dylan's absolutely bonkers. Do you know what I mean? He's exactly what we love about this sport. Do you know what I mean? About
The
combat
picture
sport.
says it all there, eh? It's
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah. But he's exactly when I talk to MMA fighters, especially guys who are coming into it, and they say, "Oh, do you know what I mean? What do I need to do? Well, you need to be a character. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's, don't get me wrong, obviously be yourself, but see the
Aye.
guys who are big personalities and so on, they're the ones that make all the noise. Do you know what I mean? And people watch them and people look at them. And Dylan's one of these guys where he's absolutely bonkers, but at the same time, you put him in a cage or you put him on a mat or whatever, and he shines. Do you know what I mean? He's absolutely
Aye.
brilliant.
I think you've got to be a wee bit mad to do this sport in general, to be honest. You know,
Aye, aye,
because there's like what I don't. Sometimes I forget just how big it is in terms of the fans and that now. Like, there's so many people come up to me and they're telling me about, oh, did you see this UFC? Did you? And obviously, I used to watch it religiously, but I just didn't get as much time now. I'm too busy on the mats, mostly coaching or studying or being with my kids.
yeah,
So it's I didn't even get the time to watch as much UFC as I would like these days, but or even just MMA in general.
yeah,
But it is. It's so big now, and there's so everybody's got opinion on it. When people are competing and whatnot, the internet's crazy for it. You see that people talking all kinds of mad shit on the internet to people.
yeah,
It's wild. It's wild. I
yeah.
always thought to myself, you shouldn't really say things to people unless you're going to say it to their face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. That's what Facebook and all that. It's keyboard gangsters. Do you know what I mean? So, do you know what I mean? It's easy to criticize from the couch. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, definitely. Like, you just see these ridiculous comments, and you're thinking to myself, fucking, you couldn't do half of that. Do you know what I mean? Why would you
Yeah.
criticize somebody if you don't think you could do it yourself? It's
Mhm.
crazy.
Chris
But
Duncan as well. Obviously, Chris is one of these guys fights with heart. Do you know what I mean? Again, hugely talented. Chris is doing a few things. He's doing a few grappling events. Obviously, again, hoping to get on to the UFC London card that's coming up as well. So I know he's been talking a lot about that. But he's got a few grappling events in the pipeline at the moment. Obviously, ADCC Scotland being one of them. And I say, Chris, I love Chris because again, he's got heart, man. I mean, we saw him in a couple of UFC fights where it looked like it was over, and bang, he's came back one punch. And do you know what I
aye,
mean?
there's no really anything anybody can say there. He just fights and fights and fights and fights. And there's nobody that can say anything other than that. And I
Yeah,
think what people aren't really giving him as much credit for is just the development of his game. He's constantly developing his game. You're watching him, and I see he's in MNBJJ training a lot as well, and obviously he's
yeah,
getting the sessions at MXP with some of the guys there. But he's constantly learning for great people, and making a point of just constantly developing, which obviously
yeah,
you need to do. If you're not going forwards, you're going backwards.
yeah. Let me ask you. Obviously, Dylan Took. Do you prefer him with or without teeth?
Mm,
Because see when
no,
he got the teeth done,
I like the
I
teeth.
do
Like, I
like
think
it. I do
I
like
like
it.
the teeth.
At first, I was like, obviously when he put the picture up at first, obviously with the teeth and all that, do you know what I mean? I was like, wow. But then
I
it's
think
good.
it's
It's good.
perfect because it's like fucking his career's kicking off. Do you know what I mean? He's
Yeah,
fucking so it's like the teeth come with it, and I think it's cool. It's cool. You know what
yeah,
I mean? He's smashing it in PFL.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's good to see.
Listen, we see them all doing it. I mean, Darren Till got turkey teeth, and who else? Meatball Molly got turkey teeth. I don't know if it was turkey teeth, but obviously their teeth were very white. Paddy Pimlet's the same, and then obviously now Dylan Took. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, we love both of these guys. Both of these
I
guys are
should
going to
probably
do
be getting shot at these things, but I'm going to keep them the new. Maybe one
it.
day.
Turkey teeth are coming. Turkey teeth are coming. Iowa. Next one then, John King, Daniel Havelock or Havelock. John doing. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? John's again been around for a while. Both of these guys have been around for a while. So, but John again, we see him doing a lot of training. Obviously, training under Sean Voss, training with different people. Does a lot of kind of him and the boy Rico Lube.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I've heard
Rico.
good things about him. I've heard
Yeah,
heard good things about him for a few people. Um, And your man Daniel as well. He came down with a wee squad for the North for the trials, and all the guys were good. They all looked very technical. So,
yeah.
that's always a good sign when you see that. So, I wanted
Mhm.
I wanted to see him compete for sure.
Yeah, so again, it's going to be a great matchup between these two. So, um, Dylan Russell, Danny McCallion. So, Obviously, Dylan. I mean, what Robbie's doing at the Jungle is he's doing some great things, and he's producing a lot of unbelievable talent coming out of that gym as well. So, obviously,
Definitely.
Dylan being one of them, and Danny again. Danny's one of the guys on absolute tear at the moment as well. And I mean, they're talking about on sub series. Obviously, they're looking at doing big things with him on sub series. He
Brilliant.
just beat the guy. I can't even remember the guy's name now, but the guy got an award that night
Yeah.
before the event kicked off, and it was grappler, up and coming grappler of the year. And then obviously went out and fought Danny, and Danny getting smoked him. Do you know what I mean?
Nice.
So obviously they've got some plans for Danny because they see how talented he is. But both of these guys are the same. I mean, obviously Dylan's a hugely talented guy. So this is going to be a very, very tough test for Danny.
This is another one of the guys who are just trying to get the best guys they can go against. You know, they're both looking for hard matches and are right up for it. So it's going to be
Yeah,
really cool to see. I'm really looking forward to it.
yeah.
Danny, I think
So
3-0, so this will be 4-0 if he's able to win. And obviously the guys are trying to make a name for themselves, and you've got to do that these days. You know, it's you're there's so many people grappling that you really need to try and stand out for the crowd if you're
yeah.
actually trying to look at it as a profession anyway.
Yeah. And then you mentioned Xander earlier on, Jack Tiley. Jack's up against Cal Pacino at the weekend as well at Sub Series. So again, that's going to be an awesome match. But him and Xander again's been around a while, and Xander again's one of the guys who is quietly, do you know what I mean, creeping up.
Yeah.
Because as he's not one of these guys, you don't see him on Facebook and Instagram, do you know what I mean, shouting and bawling like most guys do.
He's no
So
big on socials or that, but he's training very regularly, very hard, and he's getting better at a very fast rate.
yeah. And I say Jack. I remember seeing Jack. Seen Jack a few times, and Jack's again hugely talented guy. So coming out of 10th Planet. So again, obviously coming with a style of grappling that I mean, a lot of people, you know yourself. I mean, 10th Planet gets that reputation where it's just all about leg locks and so on. Whereas Jack's, even though he's got some leg locks in the game, man, he could choke you as well, and he'll hit
Aye,
you anything from
I
anywhere.
think I mean, nowadays there's just it's just no the case. Like it's just if you're training at a gym, you're going to be probably pretty well rounded now.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
people used to always assume it would be like rubber guard and that kind of stuff, but um, you know, I think nowadays there's so much out there, and the gym in particular that Jack's from, it's 10th Planet London. They're putting on some of the biggest open mats that you're going to see, so they're merging right in with that melting pot of talent that you've got there, and obviously the way that the 10th Planet kind of nature is, in terms of their gyms, they've always been very open. They've
yeah,
always had open mats. It's very always been a case, people can drop in, and I think they really embraced that in London. And for a long time, all the best guys have kind of popped through there, especially the best guys that were focusing on Nogi.
yeah,
So he's going to have had the benefit of coming up in that environment and, learning, developing his game. Obviously, I've watched him for a long time. He's on the scene. He's, also competes at my weight class, so I watch everybody.
yeah.
But aye, it's a really cool match.
Yeah, so it's going to be a great match. That obviously your man Gary Priestley up against Sindri Arbo. I love Gaz. Do you know what I mean? I love seeing Gaz out there. I still talk about that Grapple Fest matchup, him and Stefan Biddles. Do you know what I mean? So I always tell people, see if you want to see a crazy matchup and just two guys going at each other for a full 10 minutes. Watch Gary Priestley and Stefan Biddles at Grapple Fest. Because that's the one match that when I tell everybody about it, and Grapplefest also talked about it. I think it was match of the year that year. But Gaz is one of the guys. I mean, again, been around for a while, MMA, grappling and so on, and he's just his development's been absolutely brilliant to watch as well.
He's just really continued to get better, and I think even more so as an athlete in his later years, which is quite cool to see. You
Yeah,
know, I mean, obviously, I see him day in day out in the gym, so I see him sitting for an hour by himself or 2 hours
yeah,
by himself, hammering the weights. Do you know what I mean? Doing
yeah,
kettlebells when nobody's watching, doing all the other stuff when nobody's watching, drilling, doing work with the young team. He's constantly coaching,
Yeah.
like trying to bring people on, and as we spoke about earlier, that helps bring you on. You know, when you
Yeah.
teach, you learn as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, it's been really cool to see.
Yeah.
Especially I think since we got this place, he's really coming to his own and grew as a coach and an athlete and competitor.
Yeah, very critical of himself as well. Do you know what I mean, guys? He's very, very critical. I mean, I remember the last match at the sub series where him and Michael Diaguar went up against each other, and Michael's got a game where he kind of it's frustrating. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a frustrating game. That's his style of jiu-jitsu. He'll frustrate you into making a mistake, and then he'll
Aye.
counter it. Whereas the Gaz was getting frustrated, but he wasn't. Do you know what I mean? He was a little bit more intelligent and saying, "Well, I know exactly what he's trying to do." Do you know what I mean? And I remember talking
Yeah.
to Gaz after it, and Gaz was like, "Oh, listen, I'm really sorry. The match was terrible." And I'm like, "It wasn't, mate. It was a fucking great match. It was just two
Aye.
different styles." Do you know what I mean? Like
They
you were
they
the
can be tough
aggressor.
ones, eh? That's it. It
Yeah,
can it's difficult when you get that and you're not getting much commitment in the match. You know, I think I sometimes struggle in these scenarios as well.
yeah,
Whereas, you know, as opposed to kind of absorbing energy, but it's aye, it is. It's and you're saying obviously about being critical. I think most people that are in this sport are like that.
yeah,
You've got to have a certain level of sort of try and keep it healthy, but you've got to be critical of yourself. You've got to be chipping away, trying to make
yeah,
yourself a complete grappler in certain, you know, scenarios. Because I guess you've got so many different subject areas that you're just trying to constantly iron out the creases and
yeah,
get smooth with all these different positions. And obviously, the younger you are, the easier it is to, you know, to merge this together. And obviously, well, for the first maybe at least 5 years, there wasn't much information out there for our journeys. But you're seeing obviously now with the online learning and that people are getting so much better, so much faster. There's loads of great information out there.
yeah,
Um, but I think that you know, even with that being said, the role of a coach, you know, it's so important because it does so much more than that. You know, it's being
yeah,
able to actually guide people because if you go off in the wrong direction, you know, and you don't even know you're going off in the wrong direction, it's better somebody tries to tell you so you can get back on track a bit quicker.
yeah,
Whether it be mentality, whether it be, you know, an actual, you know, you know, it's like when people always think they've come up with this submission, you know, they're like, oh, I've done this submission, but you know, maybe there's a 5 obvious counters or whatever like that. So is it worth investing time on that? Probably no, you know.
yeah. Sindri as well. You look at Sindri and you would not think that he's a very, very high level grappler. Do you know what I mean? He's got that. A lot of people are looking
Mhm.
like that now, where you look at him and you think, do you know what I mean? It's like
So
walking into a
obviously
pub.
we have quite a lot of, you know, good scouts with
Yeah,
ADCC. That's one of the big benefits of the network is you've obviously got the full ADCC
yeah,
network who, you know, if there's guys that particularly want on or if they're telling you about guys that are good. And,
yeah,
you know, I've heard this dude's an absolute killer, you
yeah,
know, so I know he doesn't look it, but I've heard he's very good.
yeah, yeah,
He's obviously won the Amsterdam Pro Division, you know, so
yeah,
this is going to be a crazy tough match. For
yeah,
Gaz, we spoke about it earlier. Gaz been at that brown belt for a while and he's looking to just shoot. He's already got wins over, you know, multiple black belts and he's looking to get himself into that spot where he's, you know, taking out these top ones, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
this some aye, so it's going to be exciting. You know, like you say, Gaz is always coming out. He's going to, and you know, he's never lost, and that's his home city. You know, what I
yeah,
mean, Gary's from Stirling, so
yeah,
when he's there, you know, he's always bringing big energy. You know, and he's going to, and he brings that sort of defending his territory
yeah,
energy with him. You know,
yeah.
and like I say, he's never lost there MMA or grappling.
Yeah, yeah. So it's going to be a great match between these two guys. Fraser Patterson, Nakub Hassan. Fraser again, obviously doing some great things in MMA. Do you know what I mean? Well, I think he's won in his weight group. He's ranked number one in the UK for MMA. So
Yeah.
as per topology, but again up against a very very tough, a very very good Nakub Hassan. So that'll
Ah,
be
this
exciting.
Well, it'll be a real tough match. I'm looking forward to it. Maybe a bit of a clash of styles, but like for me, you know, Fraser, one, very hard to match, because not that many people actually want to go against a guy that's as accomplished as him. He's
Yeah,
won multiple titles at different weight classes at amateur MMA, which is pretty crazy going. He's got to be like pound for pound one of the best amateurs in the whole of the
yeah,
UK at least. And obviously very good grappler as well. So you're going to get to see him. I think he got his purple in the cage, so you're going to get to see him go against another solid purple here. It'll be quite
yeah.
cool to see.
Yeah, so going to be a great matchup, that one. Robbie Ferguson, Conor Harris. Robbie's against one of the guys, very, very, I think Robbie's what, 17, 18-year old. So, but I think he had an amazing year
Mhm.
last year. Had an amazing year. So, and
Robbie's been on fire on the show so far. He's put
yeah,
on some outstanding performances every time that he's competed, and then obviously with Connor, I refereed the ADCC UK a lot of the time, so I've seen Connor competing on that, and he had a really exciting, high paced style. Very very
yeah,
technical as well, and these two are going to have a great clash, I think, because it's very very high energy. You know what I mean? These
yeah.
guys are, at the lighter weight classes, but they move very, very fast.
Yeah, so going to be a great match. Robbie, we're going to see Robbie this weekend again. So, Jamie Gardner, Fabrizio Callio. Obviously Jamie again. Jamie does the podcast now as well. So anybody looking to,
I just
um,
spoke to him actually on it.
yeah. So you were on it recently. So just chatting away. So obviously, is it called Breaking the Grip podcast? I think it's called. So, um,
Aye.
so definitely hit up that on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? Definitely give Jamie a follow. I'd say some really, really good conversations he's had. And so yeah, he's going to be up against obviously a very, very tough Fabrizio Callio. So obviously GB guy. So GB black belt as well. So again, it's going to
Yeah, I
come
think
with
he's Roger Gracie's under, and he has been for a while.
yeah,
But this should be a pretty cool match. You've got obviously Jamie still sitting as a brown belt, and he's starting to take on the submission only competitions. You're seeing him putting on these good performances. He's putting a lot into
yeah,
his training, obviously sacrifice away from home and stuff. So you're going to get to see him take on a,
yeah,
a tough black belt, and Fabricio, who is a Masters competitor also. Jamie's the same age as me, 37. So
yeah,
it's good. It's going to be, a couple of guys that are obviously masters, but trying to push their way to take on the better names in the sport as well. And
yeah,
obviously competing under pro rules. So heel hooks are in, everything's in. It's going to be an exciting matchup.
yeah. Aiden Stephen, the phenomenal Aiden Stephen up against Imad Ahmadine. So obviously Aiden, we know what Aiden's all about. I mean, Aiden's obviously been on sub onlys previously. He was on got that great when he came in with his kid onto the mat, onto the ADCC Scotland mat and so on. So that was a brilliant kind of feeling for him. So Aiden's awesome to watch, and then obviously Imad is just as amazing. Obviously he's got that leg lock. Imad, I've seen him a couple of times. So and he is very very good. So it's going to be a tough match for
Aye, I'm
Aiden,
excited.
definitely.
I'm excited for it. The thing with this one is like both guys I consider friends.
Yeah,
So it's going to be it's going to be cool to see. I know that they're going to be tough matches for each other. Like I say, it's going to be, and neither one's got really a secret of what they try to do either. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
if you watch, obviously they're both capable everywhere, but they
yeah,
both have their preferred games.
yeah,
So it's going to be interesting to see. Um, Obviously Aiden brings such a high pace as well. That's
yeah,
that's the thing that not a lot of people realise. He's probably one of the fittest guys you're ever going to come across. He
yeah,
just runs
yeah,
marathons for fun. So
yeah,
you're looking at you're going to see that, and obviously he's competing against Emad, who's sitting about 70 kilos when he's fit. So he's going to be looking to keep up that pace for it's a 10-minute match. Can he
yeah,
get the bite early, or
yeah,
is it going to be a battle over time? So
yeah.
I'm really interested to see that one. And like I say, I think when it comes to MMA fighting, you'd feel a bit funny about your two pals fighting, but
Yeah,
when it's grappling, it's actually more like, this is cool.
yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. And then I think that's that. Yeah, I think that's all the matches that we've got. Let me check. Obviously, we talked about.
There is a bunch. There is a bunch more, but like I say, if you want to come
Yeah,
and check it out, the full card's been released online, and obviously,
yeah,
you can. There's still a few tickets left, but there isn't many. As I said, we're not doing as many tickets this time,
yeah,
just so that we can get the bigger mat space, and obviously better for the competitors, and so slightly less capacity.
yeah. So we mentioned obviously a couple there. We mentioned obviously Gio and Max earlier. Shawnee Stewart's up against Chris Stirling. So again, two absolutely brilliant guys to watch. Two very
Aye.
exciting. Shawnee's game's changed up a little bit as well. So
Nice.
he
This
kind of
is a
pushed
title
him.
bout as well. This is Shawnee defending his title, so it's
Yeah.
going to be pretty cool to see. Chris had beat him on another promotion. Very, very close contest.
Mhm.
So it's going to be cool to see. Shawnee was right up for the rematch.
Yeah.
He was wanting it. So it's going to be really cool to see. Because Shawnee so far, if you look at his performances on ADCC Scotland, he's been fucking phenomenal. He's like every time just weathered the storm, comes back, just counters everything. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're talking about exciting grappling, like it's going to be a crazy, crazy good match. Yeah, I didn't think it's possible for Shawnee to be in a match that's no exciting
Yeah.
because of the way his style is. He can defend anything and he always comes back with a counter.
Yeah, very exciting. And then obviously the King of the North, Kev McAloon. So this final one up against Ash Gibson. So
Why,
uh,
unfortunately, this was this match actually we had got pulled just because Ash got injured. So
right,
we're going to do this one in future.
yeah,
But the people that are coming to watch it, or the people that are going to be watching it back on YouTube, will get to hear Kev talking about their matches, along with
yeah,
the bad guy. So
yeah.
that duo is going to be back. It's going to be cool to hear.
Definitely, definitely. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. As I said, anybody, if you've never been at ADCC Scotland previously, ADCC Scotland invitationals are always great. As I said, they're always packed. It's always busy. Do you know what I mean? The matchups are absolutely brilliant. I mean, we see some awesome, awesome highlights at every single event. I mean, it's not just the odd match. I mean, very rarely you'll see a boring match at ADCC Scotland Invitational. Do you know what I mean? Like we've seen a lot of matches come through, and do you know what I mean? There's maybe only been a couple of boring matches. Do you know what I mean? Out of every single match that we've ever seen. So it's always very exciting, very high paced. And it's definitely something. I mean, you need to be there. I mean, there's no pay per view on it, and there's a reason there's no pay per view on it because it's more exciting being there in the venue and watching what's happening than sitting at home watching on the TV because that's where you sit at home on the couch criticizing people because you're like, oh, I would have done this or I would have done that. Well, if you would have done that, get off your ass and
That's
come
it. Get
to
along and cheer
ADC
them
Scotland.
on. Like these people
Yeah,
have
yeah.
all trained their asses off, probably right through Christmas and New Year, and you're going to get to see them competing. It's one of the first shows of the year, so it's starting off with a bang, and it obviously gets
Yeah, yeah.
everybody ready to go. So I am absolutely buzzing for it. Like I say, the energy is always really, really good. We've switched it for the Saturday to the Sunday. So, with it being the Sunday afternoon, it's not going to be too late. We're starting off at 1 o'clock, in the
Yeah,
afternoon, and then we're going to finish. I reckon we should be finished by about 8, 9 o'clock.
yeah,
So, honest, what else you going to do on a Sunday? Come watch some live grappling. It's going to be class.
yeah. It's a great venue as well. I mean, we love it. As you said earlier, it's a 300-year-old building. It's very, very iconic. Do you know what I mean? It's in the city. It's in the kind of centre. And do you know what I mean? There's obviously good shops around, food places. Parking's a bit of a nightmare. You just need to find a spot. We saw the guy. Who was the girl?
On a Sunday, it should be better. That's another actual thing I was thinking about
Yeah.
because then you're not going to get the old traffic wardens.
We saw
So
who was it that came up? Was it Lena Carina? Came up and our man had a came up in a Lamborghini. They drove up from London. I don't even remember seeing that. She
did
came
he
up.
have
She
a
was
Lamborghini, the big dude?
yeah, came up in a
Wow.
Lamborghini and because I remember we seen the Lamborghini parked outside. No, who the fuck's that? And then obviously she came
He
out
was
with him.
fucking huge, eh? I hope he
Yeah, yeah.
grapples, man.
He does. Well, I don't. Does he grapple? I don't think he does. He does weightlifting. He does
Aye.
obviously. He kind of he does a lot of weights. I don't think he does grapple. But yeah, he came up in a Lamborghini. I remember he got a parking ticket. Do you know what I mean? And you're just like,
Because he was kind of doing the corner, wasn't he? He was
yeah, yeah,
doing. I remember he was doing the corner. He was shouting some just encouragement because you know.
Lamborghini, a guy that size, he must have been, I don't know, 6'5", probably about the size of Big Max. Do you know what I mean? And kicking about in a Lamborghini. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, but
So
probably wider too, though, eh?
yeah. So how he
Fucking
got in that Lamborghini? But she's only
some
tiny,
guns on
man.
him.
Do you know what I mean? So she's only tiny. So,
So
but yeah,
he's taking half her seat.
he's taking half her seat. Do you know what I mean? So, but hopefully we'll see her back on as well. I mean, she put on an awesome match, so hopefully we do see her back on at some point as well. Do you know what I
She
mean?
was
So.
awesome, man.
Yeah. Who would you like to see on? I mean, who would you love to see on ADCC Scotland that you've maybe never had before?
Oh, from Scotland, like we definitely want to get Shea on. You know,
Yeah,
it'd be cool to see Blair on as well. You know,
yeah,
he puts on some really good performances. So, there's definitely a few guys in Scotland that we've not had on. Obviously, Stevie Ray. We've had Stevie Ray matched in the past, but we've not managed to make it happen. It's always been a bit of an issue with dates and stuff. But
yeah,
I would love to get Stevie Ray on. Obviously, he's one of the best grapplers Scotland's ever produced. You
yeah,
know, so I've got honestly, like, everybody that's been a great grappler in Scotland, I want to see them compete. You know what I mean? That's genuinely how I feel. It's like if they want to compete, then I want to see them compete, because it's like there's so many great grapplers here. Like, this is what this card really actually showcases it more than anything. It's like the full card. You've almost exclusively got some of the best grapplers that's ever came out of Scotland
yeah,
competing. You know, and some of the best active ones right now. So it's going to be, and obviously that is the plan for it overall. Is just to get our best guys taking on great opposition. You know,
yeah,
and it's good for everybody that way. You know, it's good for the guys on home turf getting the challenges, and it's also good for the challengers that are actually coming. They're getting to travel and compete. They're getting to actually see Scotland as well. So people are getting, they know that they're getting these tough challenges, because ultimately in the grappling scene, that's mostly what people are up for. They're wanting to take on the best and improve their skill set through it. And I think obviously with the ADCC name and the fact that they've got Marius there, they know there's never going to be any bullshit. That's one thing that
yeah,
we never compromise our integrity when it comes to the actual rule set and scoring. We stick by it, to the core, and then so
yeah.
people know this is how I have to do. This is what I have to do to win the matches. You're not gonna. It's not like when you go to fight in Finland and the guy's allowed to do what he wants and the other guy, I'm not so.
Do you know how I would love to see? I would love to see some of the old school guys. See, like your
Well, we've
John
got Bobby
Nicks.
McVitie on this one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
pretty fucking.
But
That's pretty cool.
let's say your John Nicholsons,
Oh,
Paul
aye,
McVeigh. Do you know what I mean? Like
100%.
Marcos Nardini.
John Nicholson's still in shape. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can see he's fucking looking good. He's ready to go. So, like, I don't know. Maybe he would want to compete. Like I say, I'd love to reach out and try and make that happen. Marcos would be amazing to see as well.
yeah.
Everybody tells me he's still fucking killing it in the gym. Do you know what I mean? Just doing some magic.
Yeah, I saw him yesterday, man, rolling about yesterday, and obviously in the gi, but yeah, still looked awesome. Do you know what I mean? Still looked awesome. So I'd say that I would love to see some of the old school guys just come out of retirement. I don't know,
Gary
and the
Christie would be amazing. I'd love to see
Gary
Gary
Christie.
Christie compete, man.
Yeah. So some of these guys would be absolutely awesome. Do you know what I mean? So we can have an old school night. Do you know what I mean? Let's get the old school from Scotland taking on some of the old school from England. Do you know what I
Well,
mean? So
a while ago, I did try and reach out, and actually, I was trying to get Rick Young to do it, but the dates weren't working out and stuff. I don't know if he was too keen, because he obviously does, the quite prestigious competitions. He's always aiming for
yeah,
world championships and stuff. But I just thought that would be a really cool thing for him, maybe just to get the chance to compete in Scotland. But it may be we need to wait until we get, my ultimate goal is to, hopefully get the show to a point where, you know it's a bigger spectacle to start with, so bigger venue, bigger spectacle, packed out. Because you go to these events in Poland or a lot of places, and it's unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? You go
yeah,
in a lot,
yeah,
you go in a lot of these, and you're seeing that the arenas are packed out to support. You know,
yeah,
and that's what you're ultimately trying to go for. But as well as that, obviously ADCC, has deals with ADCC, where, UFC Fight Pass and stuff as well. So it'd be great to see the invitationals on Fight Pass at a certain point, and
yeah,
maybe even collaborating with the UK guys to put on a bigger event, and
yeah,
get the best guys for each place,
yeah.
and let's get it all on show.
Mate, old school would be good. Obviously, we know that they do the ADCC, do the Masters Worlds and the Masters Europeans. Is it Masters Europeans? Sorry, because I know Marius was talking about it. He was going over to it. So it'd be great to see some of these old school guys. So if any of them are watching, do you know what I mean? Fucking hit Mop up, man. Let's get you a match. Let's get you definitely matched up. Do you know what I mean? So just a few names, but there's a lot of names out there. A lot of these old school guys still kicking about doing their thing. So let's try and get them on, man. Let's try
A
and
bit
do it.
like
So,
yourself, Stu. You're a bit
oh,
an old school guy. That
man, I would love it. I would love it. I just
who
need
you
to
want to
be.
call it? Who do you want on the show?
Oh, mate, like the two guys I always said this. See if I was doing it, would be Mooch, Dave Moore, or Mo Coles. Do you know what I mean? One of them two. Do you know what I mean?
You hearing this, Mooch?
So that would be my two. That would be my.
Right.
Mooch has
Well,
said it
listen,
the
the
whole
call
time.
out, the call out's been made. Mooch, if you've heard this, we'll make the match happen. If
I'm going to
no,
see him on
you're a
Saturday
shite
anyway.
bag.
I'm going to see him on Saturday. Do you know what I mean? So Mitch has called Manny out a couple of times. Do you know what I mean? But I would love that. Do you know what I mean? Because I've so much respect for these guys, so much respect for everybody in the game. Do you know what I mean? So, but to
But
be
when
able
you're
to
on the
share them,
match with him, you're not showing him any respect.
nah, mate, it's going to be a hard life for him, man. It's going to be a hard life for him. Do you know what I mean? So, but no, I would love it. I would love it. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
So.
well, listen, if he accepts, that's the first match on the card.
So Mitch won't accept, man. He's away doing his own thing. Do you know what I mean? He's nearly a pensioner, so nearly a pensioner. So final thing for you then, Mops. Obviously, next Sunday's going to be amazing. So tickets, guys, make sure you head over to ADCC. I know you guys put a post up earlier today as well about a ticket link. So I mean, tickets are
It is nearly
very
sold out,
limited.
to be fair.
Yeah,
It is nearly sold out. There's no many left, but it's still up there. And like I said, people will find out when they click and it says they can't buy anymore. So
yeah. What happens as well? Do you keep some tickets at the door, or just when they're
no,
gone, they're
no,
gone?
no. We need to know what the capacity is. It's one of the
Yeah,
sort of most important things. So that's why we date ticketed, so we know
yeah.
exactly how many people's in the building and we've got to register and everything like that. So basically once it's done, it's done.
Yeah. So don't be turning up on the day, guys, expecting to get in if you've not got a ticket, because it won't be happening. It won't be happening. So as I say, we've got Ricky Wright doing the MCing, going to be absolutely amazing. Big Marius, obviously coming back. He loves obviously coming to Scotland doing the ADCC refing. Obviously, you've got the bad guy and the King of the North doing the commentary. They're like a comedy duo, them two together.
They're
So,
actually a really good pairing, but they know
yeah,
each
yeah.
other for obviously back in the day as well.
Yeah, so we're going to see them. And obviously everybody else, I'll be there doing the post-fight interviews in the back as always. You know what I mean? Just having some fun out the back. So it's going to be an amazing night. So kick-off time, 1
Kick-off
o'clock,
time, 1 p.m. exactly.
1
That'll be
p.m. So
that'll be the first match. Doors will open at 12. So
yeah, so make sure you're in the doors, guys. 12 o'clock. Make sure you're in the door. I'd say there is no pay-per-view on this. So if you do see links going up, which you normally do for ADCC Scotland, there is no pay-per-view. So
I know what
do
you mean.
not be fooled by any of these links at all. But Mop, listen, absolute pleasure, brother. Thank you very much for
Great to speak to you, man.
chatting away. Do you know what I mean? So
And
it's
Happy New
all,
Year. I don't even think I've said it yet.
nah, happy New Year. Happy New Year. It's going to
Happy
be
New
an
Year, mate.
amazing New Year. It's going to be an amazing year this year. So, do you know what I mean?
100%.
We're all going to do absolutely wonderful things this year. Do you know what I mean? ADCC Scotland's going to go from strength to strength. Do you know what I mean? We're going to get bigger and better.
Get on the Combat Companion.
Yeah, get on this, get on this. I know we're going to do some stuff with Gaz as well. Obviously, Gaz was chatting away to me, so I think he's got a few things lined up. So we're going to
Nice.
do some stuff with Gaz as well. So guys, look out for that. But it's going to be an amazing year for obviously you guys at ADCC. But yeah, listen, guys, thank you very much. ADCC Scotland, the Golden Lion Hotel in Stirling. Make sure you get them tickets. It's next Sunday, 26th of January.
Some
But
man,
what?
Spoon Boy. Thank you,
Give my
bro.
love to everybody in the gym. Tell them I was asking for
100%.
them. And yeah, listen, you enjoy the rest of the evening, buddy. All right.
I'll see you soon, mate. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Cheers for talking. Bye bye.